All right, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Living the Dream podcast. Today on the show, we have Brenden Kumarasamy, who is the founder of MasterTalk. Brenden, how you doing?
Good, Timmy. Great to be on, man. How are you?
I'm doing well, man. Thanks for asking, and thanks for coming on the show. We like to jump right in, so if you could start with telling us a little bit more about yourself and what you like to do for fun, that'd be great.
Happy to, man. So who I am, my name is Brenden. I'm the founder of MasterTalk, like you said. So I make YouTube videos on communication and public speaking. And the way that I got started was when I was in college. I did these things called case competitions in business school, Timmy. Think of it like professional sports, but for nerds. So the guys my age were playing football or basketball or something you wouldn't see me playing. And I did presentations competitively. That's how I learned how to speak. Yeah, that
There we
sounds
go.
weird. Yeah. So then as I got older, I started coaching a lot of the students. Not really because I was a great coach, because the alternative they had was nobody, and that's how I learned how to speak. And then it was through that expertise that I went on to start making YouTube videos because I felt that the information was available for free. So that's the backstory. And then what I do for fun, honestly, dude, most of my time, I'm just working my tail off. But I would say outside of that, I karaoke in 8 different languages. I love going to personal development events and spending time with my family.
Okay. Karaoke, personal
Yeah, I can
development,
care.
and family time.
Yeah, you got it.
There we go. There we go. What songs do you like to sing?
Hmm. What songs do I like to sing? I'm pretty easygoing. I usually just like to go with the flow. But Sean Paul is always surprising for people that I can karaoke Sean Paul. I don't sing well, by the way. Just I let the record show that I'm not a great singer. But it just messes people up to go, oh my God, he like sounds like Sean Paul. So there's that.
I have no idea who Sean Paul is.
Oh, that was a joke, right?
No.
No way.
Let me Google it real quick.
Wait, what?
I literally have no
Oh,
clue.
I thought you were just being sarcastic. Wait, how do you not know who Sean Paul is?
Yeah, I'm looking at his face and I've never seen him before. Never heard any of these songs.
Nah, you're just messing with me. No way.
No, I'm not.
What? You've never heard of Get Busy or Temperature?
Uh, like maybe I've heard of the words, but like Sean Paul and those songs mean nothing to me right
Oh my goodness. I think we should just stop the podcast right now. You should just go listen to Sean Paul. No, I'm kidding. What?
now.
Anyways, fair enough. Fair enough.
Gotcha, gotcha. Well, awesome. So we got what you like to do for fun, got what you do for work, and so now you are coaching people as well as making the YouTube videos. Are you strictly monetized through YouTube? How does that work?
You got it. So how the story started to me was I was making videos for fun. So it just started as a channel. I never thought it would be a business. I never wanted to be an entrepreneur. I thought entrepreneurs was people who couldn't make money getting high paying jobs. So I actually started my career in a high paying job. I was a technology consultant at IBM. And that's why I actually did all these case competitions to get a job there. That was the whole point of that. So then when I started doing really well financially and I started paying off my family debt and started to save up a lot more money, what happened was as the years went by, I just lost fulfillment. I was doing really well, but I was like, okay, like, do I just keep working here for the next 10 years and become an executive? Or do I do something else in my life? And I just kept making videos in my mom's basement as the side hustle. I just kept doing it because it was just a fun game for me to play. And then I realized years into it that you could actually make money as a coach. Like I was already a really good coach. I just didn't know you could charge people money to do that. So I was able to build a business in the back and I got super lucky with my business partner who was like 20 years older than me and who gave me a chance and gave me my first client. So yeah, that's what happened.
There we go. There we go. I love it. So tell us a bit more about your motivation. What really gets you up and keeps you going every day?
For sure, man. I mean, I can only share it through a story, so let's do it that way. So I'm watching this TikTok, right? And it's about Taylor Swift who wins an award called Woman of the Year. It's a company that Billboard like gives out. It's like an award. And it's 2014. So she wins this award. She gets up on stage and she looks at the crowd to me and says, "Your future Woman of the Year is 11 years old right now. She's singing in a choir, she's learning how to sing, she's getting into piano, and she has big dreams to be a singer, and we need to take care of that person." And then flash forward 6 years later, Billie Eilish becomes the youngest inductee in Billboard's history to win Woman of the Year at the age of 17. So she gets up on that stage, she's got her big bulky jacket, she's got her big glasses. She looks at the crowd and goes like, "I don't know, I won this award. Like, how did this happen?" She just keeps rambling. And then the last 30 seconds completely changes my life, man. She looks at the crowd and says, "Yeah, like it was 2014. I was watching Taylor Swift's speech and I was 11 years old." And I was in choir and I was learning how to sing and I was in piano
Oh,
and you all took care of me. So thank you. And then she walks off the stage. And the reason that really changed my life, Timmy, is because I thought about the next Elon Musk when I watched that TikTok. Because when Elon was 13 years old, nobody gave a shit about him. He was like some kid in South Africa being abused by his dad. No one thought he was going to be the person he is today. And nobody sat him down for 40 minutes and said, hey, buddy, you need to work on your communication skills. You should probably take out your filler words, do all these things. He still became the success he is today, but he had a much harder road to it. So I always think about the next Elon, who's probably a 7, 10, 13-year-old girl in like Utah or Cambodia or some part of the world. And I know for sure they can't afford a communication coach. So my mission in life, Timmy, what gets me really excited to do a podcast at 7 p.m. after like 10 meetings is that I want to empower every genius in our society to be an exceptional communicator. Because if we lived in a world where all of the Elons of our society forever were exceptional communicators, the world as a whole would just evolve at lightning speed.
mm, I love that. I love that a lot. I really love that story. I did not know about that Taylor Swift Billie Eilish story. Man, that is actually wild. And
That's pretty wild.
I know you do a lot of self improvement stuff. Are you familiar with like the law of attraction, the secret, all that stuff? Oh my gosh, the fact that she like in 2014 said that and then 6 years later it happened, it just, dude, blows my mind. Blows my mind. But I really love how you kind of brought that into your life. And you said, "Well, I'm going to do that for that genius out there who can't afford a communication coach and needs to learn those skills." So it's admirable, man. I love it. Well,
Thanks, man.
awesome.
Try my best.
Yeah, seems like you're doing a good job. And seems like you're going after, I mean, young guy going after your passions. What else can you ask for, you know? Well, awesome. Now we're going to jump into your dreams and goals. So tell us about your vision for your company, for your life. I know we've already heard a little bit about it, empowering every genius to be an exceptional communicator. But if there's anything you want to add, go ahead.
Yeah, for sure, Timmy. I think the only thing I would add to that is I get to create something that Dale Carnegie couldn't because of the era in which he lived in. So obviously we all know Dale's work, the author of How to Win Friends and Influence People. He's done really well in it at the time that he was alive anyways. He died in 1955 around communication and public speaking, just thought leadership in general. But there's one problem is that we don't know how he talks. You
Mm,
don't get to hear how he speaks.
yeah.
We don't see his vocal tone changes. We don't see his pausing or ums and ahs. Like we don't see anything because of the era in which he lived in. And I was super fortunate in life. I learned the gift of gab for communication at a very young age. I started coaching when I was 19. This is my seventh year coaching now in the industry. And I've developed a lot of thought leadership that some people don't get in their lifetimes. But I still have a lot more life to go. So really, to keep my vision simple, it's to become the modern day Dale Carnegie. But democratize my information in a way that they become immortal. And that's what I love about YouTube and podcasts, even the conversation we're having now, is long after I'm dead, like 100 years from now, hopefully it's a lot more, but it's probably less than 100, when I'm gone and we say goodbye, people can analyze my speech patterns for life. Like they can just go into my YouTube channel. My brain is copy pasted on that channel. So I don't hide any of my information. And that's really the magic of what I'm trying to create. So that's the vision, man. And then my coaching clients obviously help me pay for all of this, and they help me pay for my lifestyle. But for 99% of the world, that's what they'll get, and it'll hopefully change their life.
I love it. I
Yeah,
love
man.
it. What are the top 1 to 2 skills that you need to make your dream life come true? So to become the modern day Dale Carnegie, empower that genius out there that needs to be an exceptional communicator. What 1 to 2 skills do you need to develop?
So let me ask a follow-up question. Are you asking that to me personally, whether the two skills am I missing to get there, or are you ask because happy to answer that, or is it more in general for people who are trying to find their passion? What do you think is one, two skills that I recommend they have?
So I'm asking 1 2 skills for you.
I would say for me, the two things that are missing in my game is one, romantic relationships, which is a key part to communication. I've never been in a relationship, I've been single my whole life, right? But I think because of that, I don't really understand the power of communication in a romantic setting. Obviously, I understand at an intellectual level. I have a lot of amazing friends, girls and boys, right? Women and men. But I've never been in a relationship. So that's something I need to ease into. I've always just been fearful of that because I feel it always distracts me from business and being successful. So that's a limiting belief I got to fix in my life, and I'll figure it out. I'm 26. I got time. So that's one. The second one is spirituality. I think a lot of the best thought leaders in the world, Oprah, Tony Robbins, Deepak Chopra, like a lot of these people at the highest level are very spiritual individuals. They do a lot of meditation. They have spiritual teachers. And I've never really been into spirituality. I've done some of it, some dabbing, some getting my feet wet, but I've never taken that deeper dive into it in the way that I should. And I feel if I did, it would unlock a new level of growth for me that I haven't yet achieved. So those are the two things on my bucket list that I'll be working on to fulfill my potential.
Mm, your romantic relationships and your spirituality.
Yeah, that's what I think are my two biggest holes. Obviously, there's a ton of holes I got in my game. It's just the size of those holes are much smaller. Like, sure, like lead gen in my business, I'll solve that. Like, I'm like the youngest coach in the world right now, and I'm the only one coaching C levels at my 20s, who are like, because my average client's 20 years older than me, right?
Yeah,
So I've already had success there. I think it's more around getting a little bit more so I'm secure enough financial. It'd probably take like 12, 18 months. Like very secure. Not like secure, I'm secure, but like very secure where I can like turn off the business and just date basically. And then the other piece is just spirituality, yeah.
I got you. I got you. And what are the highest impact daily actions that will take the needle forward for your dreams and goals for you personally right now? And
Mm.
are do they revolve around developing those skills or are they something else?
Yeah, I would say short term it's probably not around those two things, but hey, I might be wrong about that. I think for me it's probably taking lead gen more seriously. Like I'll tell you a funny story. I was at a conference last month, and I'm a conference junkie. Some people say I'm an alcoholic and I have a problem. Alcohol's Anonymous. Yeah, I don't have that problem. I have a conference problem. I go to too many conferences. So I'm sitting at one of these conferences and I'm having dinner with my business partner. We're at a Thai restaurant and he's like, "Why are we stuck at the level we're at in business? Why haven't we hit a million yet or 10 million?" It's like it's not about the delivery. Customers love us. They always refer a bunch, but it's not like it's growing, but it's not growing like pop, like massive. Like one day you're like 100K, the next day you're at a million. Like I'm not growing that quickly. I'll get there, but at the rate I'm going now, it's going to take 3 to 5 years, which is still good. Obviously, it's not a bad problem to have. So Vamsi asked me a great question. It was my business partner. He said, if we were coaching ourselves, what advice would we give to ourselves? And I thought about it, and it reminded me of one of my buddies named Yasir, who also started the same business as me, like 8, 10 months ago. And he got a lot of success. And I said, "Oh, didn't he message me about something?" So he played his voice recording. And it turns out the reason his business blew up was because he got on TikTok. He got really aggressive on TikTok. And then I looked at myself and I said, I really got to stop BSing myself because I spent 10 to 15 grand this year on all these conferences when I should have just spent it all on TikTok, hired my production team that already does my YouTube channel. And if I had done that, I'd already be making $1 million a year.
Yeah.
So why am I bullshitting myself? So that was the biggest thing, and we're aggressive now. Like the second I went home, I wrote like 100 of them in 3 days, and I record 100 TikToks in a day, and we're launching in like 3 weeks. So I'm not bullshitting anymore. We're gonna blow this thing up, but yeah, that's the biggest thing.
I love it. I love it. How many times a day are you gonna be posting on TikTok?
Once a day, we're gonna do daily,
There we
just to
go.
make sure we make money off of it, and then once we do, we're gonna just keep reinvesting the profits and have daily posts on Reel Shorts and TikTok.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel that. I feel that. Do you guys put any money in ads at all?
Not yet, not yet. I'm thinking of hiring Yasir to do TikTok ads for me because it's worked out really well for him. So we're exploring that too. But I think the biggest miss is definitely organic because I'm getting clients from LinkedIn and YouTube. LinkedIn especially, I'm doing really well client size. But I'm not taking TikTok, Instagram, the others. If I just did that, I would have enough leads to sustain myself forever. But I'm not doing that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I got you. I got you. Well, awesome. So you're pretty set and primed to take lead gen more seriously, and your action step is really posting that daily TikTok for the foreseeable future.
You got it. We'll see how it works. And then if
I
it
love it.
doesn't work, then I'll hire one of my good friends and we'll go all in on TikTok ads because we know that works for sure.
There we go. And did you Do you get tips on how to structure your TikToks, how to like make it a good TikTok, or are you just kind of going in blind, or what was that process like?
Yeah, that for I would say for most people it's more difficult. Like for me it was a little bit different because it was more of a mindset block. It wasn't really a tactical block. So Alex Hormozy says this so well in his books, in his
Says everything
podcast.
well.
Yeah, he does. He does say everything. I'm a huge fan. But basically, he says there's three types of the traits, the belief systems, and the skill sets behind any entrepreneur. So is it a belief that you shouldn't be holding? Is it a skill that you're just missing? Or is it more of a character trait? Like you're just not consistent. There's something you're not doing a lot. You're being lazy. So for me, it was really like a belief. Oh, like I don't think that TikTok is going to be make me. It wasn't a tactical thing because YouTube is like NBA, like playing professional basketball. TikTok is like high school, right? It's like college. To someone who produces on YouTube, like at a professional level, it's like okay, 60-second video, 60-second stuff. So yeah, I just have to copy what other people are doing on TikTok and rewrite the scripts so it's more punchier. But yeah, it was more around a belief than skill set. But we'll see. We'll see how the cards play out. Maybe I'll be wrong.
There we go. There we go. Well, awesome, man. Awesome. I love it. I was Grant Cardone recently hosted a business conference, business event, like for free. He's always hosting. He hosts like hundreds of events a year, but he was hosting one. It was on YouTube. I saw it. And he was talking. He was saying that some dude who sold his company for 6 billion recently called him out. He was like, "Grant, you have more money in a house that you bought than in marketing towards your brand." And Grant said that was an eye opener for him. So I'm glad that you are taking those steps to invest in your brand with that daily TikTok and the TikTok ads and stuff, because it'll just, I'm sure it'll provide dividends. And Alex Hormozy talks, everybody who talks about branding talks about this of like, dude, a brand is priceless. Like it's just priceless. You get that brand and you get that brand recognition. Yet to experience it myself, but that is the goal, right? So awesome. Next question. It's funny that you mentioned Alex Hormozy. Actually, he inspired my switch up in questions recently. Like I asked about your skills. I'm about to ask about your character now. So, what character trait do you most need to develop right now to make your dream life come true?
What a fascinating interview, man. It feels like more of a therapy session than I. But I guess it makes people feel more human, so I'm game for it. I would say character trait is not something I've struggled with too much. I'm pretty consistent. I would say the one thing I don't do enough of is probably like output, but more output. So, for example, let's say I might do 10 interviews in a day. It's more like, okay, am I working out? Am I also sending DMs on Instagram? So, there's always something I'm not doing from an output perspective. I would say that's probably one character. In terms of like just how I live my life, I think for the most part I've done pretty well. Besides like not being aggressive enough in romantic relationships, I would say from a character perspective I've done most of it well. Like, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do anything actually. I guess maybe I should have more fun in life. So that's one. But I would say the biggest thing is working out. I don't take my health as seriously. I guess because I'm young. It's not like I dump it. Like I got a visible six pack and stuff, but I'm not working out like crazy like Alex is and putting in the time. So that's probably an area of improvement.
Yeah, yeah, I gotcha. So, more output just in general, whether that be working out, doing an extra activity for your business, showing up in romantic relationships.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Gotcha. What, if you were to put that in a word for a character trait, what would that word be?
Hmm. It's tough. Let me think about that.
Proactivity, massive action.
Maybe, yeah, I think it's just massive action. Because I feel like I'm really comfortable with the level of output I have. Like, I kind of rest on my laurels with the level of output I have. Because it's more than what most people are outputting. But it's not at the level that will make me the success I want to be. That's why I started taking TikTok more so. I was like, yeah, am I posting on social? It's not like a binary. Yeah, I'm posting on social. I've done well on YouTube. I've done well on LinkedIn. I'm consistent on LinkedIn. I've been like I post daily. We have a super strong content strategy there. But it's like it goes back to what Grant Cardone actually told Alex in his one-on-one calls, which is you're not doing enough. And Alex like, what do you mean I'm not doing enough? And then Grant opens his phone. He's like, yeah, I posted like 3 times today on Instagram and like 3 times on TikTok. What have you done today? Oh, I post every 2 days on TikTok. It's like exact. So the answer sometimes there's always more. There's actually another GC quote that I really love that I learned in the last 30 days that I think is so good, and I needed to apply that to myself. And there's a lot of areas I don't apply that to myself, and a lot of us really don't, which is often that which we should be that we are criticizing is what we should be doing instead. So
Mm,
often what we criticize is what should we be doing instead. Oh, this TikTok thing is just for kids. I don't need to do that. Oh, social media is only for people who want to be YouTubers and make money selling makeup. So often what we criticize is what we should be doing instead. And I feel that's really simple yet super powerful.
I love it. I love it. Ooh, that was a good one. I feel like I've heard that Grant Cardone quote somewhere, but I'm glad you brought it back to my attention because definitely not something I've been focused on. Awesome. If there were one or two people that you could meet right now, and this could be a specific person or a type of person, and they'd really help you take the next step towards these dreams and goals, who would they be, and how would they
I
help
don't know. I don't. Yeah, it would actually move me towards the goals. I would say Peter Thiel, the author of the book Zero to One, just because he's probably the hardest to access out of everybody that I would like to talk to. And the reason is because Zero to One is like my Bible. It's one of my favorite books of all time, and I don't read a lot of books. So take that recommendation highly because I literally read like 2 books a year. Like I'm not a good reader because I hate books, but which is a story for another day. But I think the point of I pretty much just read like $100 million offers this year and like one other book. But the point I want to drive with Peter is he has a lot of great contrarian questions. Questions like, what is the truth that you believe in that most people disagree with you on? What great company is nobody building? What great problem is nobody solving? What great cause is nobody funding? So I just love the way he thinks. That's why he's been able to build the future, right? He was the founder of PayPal, he started Palantir, and all of his buddies at PayPal went on to start massive companies, right? Elon at SpaceX and Tesla, and the list goes on. So the one thing I would ask him at that dinner is I would like the other questions. What are the other list of questions? I'm sure there's more because he wrote that book like 15 years ago. So he doesn't talk about any of the other questions. So I would make a list and share it with the world. I think they'd be super valuable.
Mm, I love that. I'm gonna have to go read that book. I haven't read that one.
No, what you need to do is you need to go listen to Sean Paul. Forget about reading the book.
You know,
You're
it's so
just
funny.
you're like missing out on culture. Like what is going on here?
You just told me to listen to Sean Paul again. I was like, listen to Sean. Who's that?
See, that's what's holding you back, Timmy, from your next level of success. It's not a character trait. It's a belief that you shouldn't know Sean Paul. You really should.
Yeah.
This is
That's funny. Awesome. Thriving three now. Next, our first question in the Thriving Three is: what is your favorite book, movie, or podcast? Pick one.
book, movie, or podcast. I'll go with book. I'll recommend Thirst by Scott Harrison. Scott Harrison's the CEO of Charity Water. It's a nonprofit he started to help people gain access to clean water. The reason why I like Scott's book so much is because it showcases a simple idea in a powerful way that literally anybody in the world could go on to make a massive impact in the world. Scott was literally a nightclub promoter in his 20s in New York. He got people drunk for a living. His girlfriend was on Vogue magazine. He had a BMW and a Rolex watch, and he hated his wife. Like that's what he spent his 20s doing, just getting people
Wow.
drunk and snorting cocaine. That's all he did. And that guy went on to build not one of the largest water charity in America. He's raised hundreds of millions of dollars. He raised 100 million just last year at Charity Water, and he's helped like 15, 20 million people gain access to clean water for the first time in their life. Like it's wild. And there's a great quote in the book that I always like to repeat. And the quote is, the goal is not to live forever, but rather create something that will. And I think Scott embodies that in spades.
I love that. Another book I'm gonna have to go read.
No, forget about the books. You
Sean
should,
Paul.
everyone else should read Scott Harrison, but you gotta look at Sean Paul, yeah.
And what is one way you like to take care of yourself?
The way that I like to take care of myself, I do that through many ways, but I would say the biggest way is leading a life that is unique to my own essence. And what I mean by that is that I'm very fortunate at this point in my life, Timmy. I'm not a billionaire, not a gazillionaire, but I'm definitely at a point where I'm semi-retired, where And what that means essentially is that every minute of every day, every meeting that I'm a part of, I'm glad to be in it. Yeah, I got a meeting with Timmy to do a podcast. Yeah, let's do it. Like we're not talking about some tech implementation, right? It's like it's fun. It's just about life, and it boggles my mind that I get to do what I love every single day. Sure, there's parts of my life that are tough and admin stuff, but for the most part, it's like shit. Like I get to spend 12, 14 hours just doing this every day. Like this is the life. So I would say that's the biggest way that I take care of myself is by making decisions that allow me to live my fullest potential. And then the other thing is obviously dancing in between meetings, but I think the first one's more prevalent.
You actually dance between meetings?
I do, yeah.
Where did you get that concept? Just
It
for
wasn't
fun?
really it wasn't really a concept. I didn't really learn it in a Tony Robbins book or anything. It was just I just like doing it.
I love it. I love it.
It's-
That's funny that you mentioned Tony Robbins because he has people dance like when he's doing his live events and stuff, and it like upped my energy levels when I did that. So it's something that I'm trying to implement a bit more. But I like that you just do it.
Oh yeah, I mean, part of that's Tony too, but I was doing that before. I mean, I'm a Tony junkie too. I've been to every single Tony event as well, except the plat ones. But
Yep.
yeah, it's been fun.
I got you. I got you. What is one action step that you can take right now or continue to take if you're already doing it to meet Peter Thiel?
That's a great question, man. I mean, I've been lazy on this because one of my dreams in like the next decade is to coach as fellows. So for those who don't know, Thiel has a fellowship program where he actually pays students who are super talented $100,000 to quit their college and just pursue their idea. So it sounds like a crazy idea on the front end, but actually a lot of people became very successful from that initiative. So a lot of people who don't know these people, like Dylan Fields, the guy who built Figma that just sold to Adobe for $20 billion, he was a Thiel fellow when he was 19 years old. So he quit Brown University to do his company full time. The guy who founded Ethereum, Vitalik Buterin, so he was a Thiel fellow as well when he was younger. So he quit school to start Ethereum. So it's like so he's picking the right people,
Yeah, he
but
is.
all of them are shit communicators. A lot of them are. So if I could coach his fellows, it'd be really interesting. I would say that the way that I've kind of thought about it right now, I have one lead that I'm working through that I think might get me there, but I'm not 100% sure. The only real guarantee that I see right now to get there is to become an LP in their fund. So for those who don't understand what I'm talking about, so when you raise a venture capital fund, which Teal has one, it's called Founders Fund. Basically, what they do is they invest into technology startups. So if you're writing them a big check, you're going to be a limited partner in the fund. So you obviously have access to all the people who work there. So that's the way that I see it. But I don't think that's going to get me there as fast as I'd like to. So it's a great nudge on your part.
Gotcha. 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 What do you think Peter Thiel is doing right now?
Dude, I have no idea. I've never been asked that question. I don't know, eating, sleeping?
I just asked because I think these people are pretty unreachable, but I'm like, dude, if you think about it, we walk by strangers every day. Like there's somebody who randomly bumped into Peter today. You know what I mean? I'm just like,
Mm.
maybe there isn't, but people randomly bump into celebrities and big entrepreneurs all the time. And I think it's just a fascinating concept to be like, you could just go where he is, where he's eating lunch or whatever. So anyway, crazy thought, but
I love your nudge, man. I love the way you framed that your communication was 10 out of 10 in that response, too.
appreciate it. Appreciate it. Awesome. Well, we're gonna jump into our final couple of questions. I didn't send these beforehand. They get a little personal, so if you don't want to answer them, just be like, I'm a pass. I just have to give that disclaimer so people feel the freedom.
Sure.
First question is, what is one limiting belief that continues to pop up in your life, if any?
For sure. I mean, I got a bunch of them. I would say the biggest one that is the most apparent is money mindset. I didn't grow up with a lot of money, so I would always hold on to every little dollar, every little penny that I would make, and I'm only starting to unwind that right now. Like I'll give you a story. I mean, since we're being vulnerable, so I guested on Entrepreneurs on Fire last week, right? Which is like amazing. It's like one of the top 500
You're
podcasts in
just
the
on
world.
Entrepreneurs on Fire?
Yeah, I was on it last week. But
Oh,
but I'm not saying that to show off. I'm telling you a story.
cool.
So the reason I tell you that is I actually got accepted to be on the podcast in June. In June. So that was 4 months ago. And last week was the recording. So why did it take me so long to say yes? It's because I got scared of the appearance fee. because you have to pay to be on Entrepreneurs on Fire because it's like the
Do you
top.
really?
Yeah, yeah, it's like a 4K booking fee. But $4,000 is not a lot of money. Like I charge executives 3,000, like, and I charge a lot of executives 3,000. So it's not like I don't have 4K. It was just like I was just really afraid. Oh my God, $4,000 is a lot. Maybe I should do this. And I literally just invented story as to why I shouldn't be. So I just ignored the acceptance invitation. And then it was September, and I was sitting down with Vamsi because he's also my coach. He's also my business partner and my personal coach, and I'm so grateful for him. And he looked at me and he's like, "Hey," and I asked him, like, "Should I do more interviews?" And he's like, "Yeah, you could do some more interviews, but I think it's about doing less shows and high impact. Is there one show that you can get on right now that even if we have to pay to be on it?" And then I said like, "Oh, Entrepreneurs on Fire." He's like, "Yeah, you should apply." And he's like, "No, I already got accepted." And he looked at me and he said, "Then why haven't you been on the show?" I was like, "But Vamsi, it's $4,000." He said, "Take out your credit card right now and pay the fee, like right now. Stop being a little pussy." He didn't say it that way, but I'm translating for him. And I'm so grateful I did because he might have said no. Because I thought when I followed up he was going to be like, actually, you took too long, forget it. So I literally followed up and said, hey, sorry for the delay, we're happy to accept the fee and do the, and he replied with, yeah, sure, no worries, just pay it and you're good. And I did it last week and it went phenomenally well. But I think the point is the money mindset has always held me back, and that's something I'm working through. And it's been going well now, but yeah, it's still limiting belief for sure.
Gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. And you said it comes from not growing up with a lot of money.
Yeah, you got it. I grew up. Well, I'm not like some kid in like India, like on the. Nothing wrong against them. Obviously, I shouldn't be laughing when I say that. But the point that I want to drive is I didn't grow up with a lot. My parents were minimum wage workers, factory workers in Canada. So relative to other people's Canadian household income, I was definitely pretty low. So I didn't get a lot of Christmas gifts during Christmas or gifts at all for that matter. Every time I wanted candy, I always had to ask 3 or 4 times, and a lot of the times I wouldn't get it. So because of that, there was always a need for me to make money. It was like money was always a problem. So I wanted to solve it. That's why I never wanted to be an entrepreneur. I was like, why would I take the risk? I could be have a guaranteed $100,000 a year salary, and that's why I always focused on that goal. So even quitting my job was really difficult because I had to give up like half of my earning. But obviously, it worked out well in the end. But at the time, it was a really stressful move for sure.
I gotcha. I gotcha. So you already told us a story about one action that you took that was kind of reinforcing the limiting aspect of that belief. Do you have any other actions that you consistently take, whether it be on a daily, weekly, or monthly basis, that are reinforcing the fact that money is scarce?
Oh, that money is scarce. Oh, I
Right,
thought you were
just your
gonna.
money mindset limiting belief.
Yeah, that's an interesting question, dude. You're really good at this. I think you should be a coach. You probably already are one, actually. I would say I'm actually really surprised you're 23. This is really good. Um, that is scar. There was one thing I was doing last month that I'm not doing anymore that Vamsi called me out on as well, which is I wasn't subscribed to YouTube Premium. And this is not an ad for YouTube Premium. Let me explain what I mean by that. So I opened my YouTube because I use YouTube all the time. Like not just for my content, but I watch a lot of YouTube. And then Vamsi looked at me and he's like, "Why do you always have an ad playing?" And he's like, "Oh, because there's an ad." And he just said, "Why don't you just buy YouTube Premium?" And I looked at it, I was like, "Dude, that's like $15 a month." And he looked at me and he's like, "What's your hourly rate, Brenden?" I was like, $1,000 an hour. And he's like, "How much time are you wasting every month skipping the ad?" And I said, "I don't know, maybe 2 hours a month." He's like, "Yeah, what about more than 2 hours? That's 2 grand a month you're losing.
Yeah.
Spend
Yeah.
the $15." So I think so that's one, and that I fixed. I think the answer to that question is spend money I don't have. I think that's the way that I think about it now. Is like, what is the and I've started doing that a lot, and it's scary. Like Grant Cardone says it so well, right? It's like just pretend like you're always broke, right? So like I haven't collected my coaching cash yet from October. I'm already spending like 10, 15 G's on like TikTok productions. Like, let's just do it. I don't care if I have to take out a loan to do it. So that's really helping, and I'm chill. But yeah, there's that, and then the other piece, which is more solution focused, is I just count my money every day. So what that means is I just open my bank accounts and I add up all the numbers and I go, yep, that number is not a small number, so it's it's okay. And it's not a massive number either, but it's enough to make me go, okay, stop being stupid.
So are the
Besides that, yeah, go ahead.
no, no, no. Please finish.
Yeah, for sure. I was saying, like I'm looking at my calendar too to answer your question better. Is there anything else that I'm doing that is projecting that scarce thought? Not at the moment that's coming to mind, but that one recently for sure was a big one. Is like now I spend 10, 15 bucks a month. I'm so glad I did. Like now YouTube's just easier to filter through. I don't have to
Yeah.
watch ads anymore. So there you go.
I gotcha. I gotcha. So was the acting like you're always broke and spending money you don't have and the counting your money every day, was that an action that you do in order to kind of take back control when that limiting belief starts to creep in?
Correct.
Gotcha. Okay. That was one of the next questions, so I was just clarifying.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well, awesome, man. If you were to change that kind of limiting belief around your money mindset into a phrase of abundance that speaks to your heart, what would that phrase be?
Hmm. I would say I would say my ability to spend money is what allows me to accelerate my impact in the world and create a change that somebody in my lifetime wouldn't be able to. That's probably the phrase that I would tell myself.
I love it. I love it. So back to the question before, we asked about any actions that reinforce it. Is there any inaction that is reinforcing it?
The money mindset?
Yeah.
Is there any action
Or
that
inaction.
is or inaction that is reinforcing it?
So we talked about not subscribing to
Mm.
YouTube Premium. You said you did that. Like, is it maybe just pulling the trigger with TikTok ads right now? Is it some type of coaching? Is it some type of like any actions or inactions? My bad. Any inactions?
I mean, you definitely planted a good seed. Maybe I should be pulling the trigger faster on TikTok as I'm not doing aggressively enough. Just saying it scares the shit out of me. I was like, fuck, okay, now I'm gonna go to zero real fast. It's like, okay, I already dropped 10, 15 on TikTok, and I was like, okay, we gotta drop another 10, 15 on ads. So yes, I think TikTok. I think I'll give myself a little slack, but yes, I agree. That is, dude. I think you could build $1 million coaching business, man. You're really good. You probably are like making $7 million a year as a coach already. It's like shit. This Timmy guy, he doesn't mess around, man.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Well, awesome, awesome. We got one last question for you. And
Am I allowed to ask you questions, or is that more off camera?
no, you can ask me questions. You can ask
Okay,
me
well,
questions.
ask me your last one, then I'll ask you questions.
Okay, sounds good. So I want to frame this next question. So Alex Hormozy said that the difference between manipulation and help is intent. So the purpose of this question is to help people, not to manipulate. Cool. So there's a common saying that you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. And I actually found out from Dr. Alan Leica, a guest on the show, that you can make a horse drink. You just have to salt its oats. Now, I want you to think of a person with a really fixed mindset. They're not willing to accept help and they're not willing to accept change. But they
Mm,
also are discontent with their life. They're not liking where they're at. How can we, you and I, create an environment to salt their oats and help them change their life? We're not trying to make the decision for them, just create an environment to salt those oats.
wow, Alan's a wise dude. He's a good guy. I would say I'm gonna give you a very controversial opinion.
Ooh, I love it.
Okay, because since we're speaking the truth on this podcast, and you've done clearly a lot of work and homework into this, I'd rather still give you my honest answer. Let me explain it differently. Okay. Basically, what I think is I don't think it's worth our time to help those people. That's my short answer. But let me give you the long one. So Lewis Howes is one of my great heroes, right? He's the host of the School of Greatness podcast. He's one of the reasons why I became the person I am today, because I started listening to his podcast when I couldn't afford a coaching program or a mastermind. I was a 20-year-old kid, and back then there wasn't a lot of podcasts either, or at least doing it right. Especially him, Entrepreneurs on Fire, Jordan Harbinger, maybe like Joe Rogan or something. So I'm listening to this guy's podcast, and he interviews a woman named Lisa Nichols. She's like a motivational speaker and does a lot of great stuff. And he asks her the most fascinating question that I never heard Lewis ask anybody on the show. And the question to me was, what's the best piece of advice that you have for me? And I was like, huh, I wonder how Lisa's going to answer this one. Because she's like 20 years older than Lewis is. So I was really curious. I really leaned into her answer. And she said, she did this. Ah, my dear Lewis, the best advice that I have for you is never play the conversion game. And then Lewis, like I was just confused. Like, what does she mean by the conversion game? So he said, what do you mean? And she looked at him and said, when you find the light, Lewis, when you find the personal development book, the thing that changes your life, the Alex Hormozy ebook that blows your mind, the first thing that you want to do is share that light with everyone else. You want to jump to the next part. Your sister, your brother, your father, your mother. You want to show them the light. And then you get really frustrated because they don't want to see it. Ah, Timmy, just throw that book away. I don't have time for this. You know how many problems I got in my life? And then the next person goes, I don't really read books, but cool, I'm glad it changed your life. But and they just don't share the same excitement that you do. And it eats your soul alive. Because you're telling them, like, look, no, you don't get, like, Timmy, you don't get it. Sean Paul is gonna change your life. Like, trust me. But they don't listen. They don't take the step. And she looks at Lewis and says something that I thought is really wise. She said, if there's anything I've learned at my ripe old age in my 50s, Lewis, is your time is very limited on this earth. So I would encourage you to use that time and really help people who want to be converted. So that's what she said. Whereas for me, my version of her quote is I think life is better spent to take great people and make them world class than take average people and try and make them great. So my intention behind my podcast appearances, my YouTube channels, my media is not to help the whole world, even if I might say that in my marketing. Obviously, that's my hope, but I know most people don't care about communication. It's really about helping the people who actually want to change and might not be able to afford a coach, which is totally fine, by the way. Not everyone can. But those people, in the same way I was hungry for Lewis's podcast, even if it was free, I ate that thing up like I hadn't eaten in 5 days. Like I just went through every podcast episode. Those people are the people we should serve. And that's my POV. I don't think they should be saved. I think we should just let them go and focus on great people because our energy is finite, anyways.
There we go. There we go. Well, Brenden, thanks for that answer, man.
Of course, man.
Awesome. Well, that's all the questions we got for you. So feel free to ask me whatever you want to
Yeah,
ask.
man. I'm curious. So first question is, what made you start this podcast?
Yes, yes. So I grew up my whole life kind of living for other people. I was always a decently high performer. I was always like kind of the top. I wasn't the best, but I was in like the top group. And so that came with academics, that came with athletics. And I did that because I always wanted options in my life because I had no idea what I wanted to do, just no clue. And through living other people's lives, I was miserable, had suicidal ideation through high school. Eventually, I got to college. I decided to start living on my own terms. I quit football because I actually went to college to play football. Um, Started diving deeper into my faith, learning about love, and just learning about life and what all life has for me. And what happened was I made a commitment to myself in college that I was going to stop doing things that I hated to do. Because even after I quit football in college, I ended up in something else that I hated to do because our beliefs, if we don't reconcile them, tend to steer us, in the, different path, same kind of scenario is basically where I was at. And that was with Young Life for me. Anyway, I graduated college. I made that commitment to myself. I jumped in as a realtor. And the initial goal of this podcast was to generate leads for my real estate business. And I couldn't be consistent with it because I didn't care about being a realtor. Like selling residential homes just killed me. People would like not pick a home for the counters. And I didn't like that. So I was like, I did an energy audit because I was listening to this guy named Trevor Motch. I think he's the CEO of Carrot.com, which is a real estate company. He was on a podcast and he was saying, I was doing a bunch of things that drained my energy and I was exhausted on a camping trip with my family, almost drove off the road because I was falling asleep because I hated my life. And everything I was doing was sucking my energy away. So I had no energy to be present with my family. So he almost killed them driving off the road. At that point, I did an energy audit and I realized that 80 to 90% of the activities that I was doing was draining my energy. And then about 10%, the majority of which was sleep and exercise, was giving me energy. And the one thing that I would do every now and then, occasionally, that would give me energy was talk to people about their dreams and goals and think about business. I love just thinking about business. And like, that's why Alex Hormozy's $100 million offers and creating an offer so good. I just love that stuff. But at the core, it's dreams and goals. And I think business is like a conduit to your dreams and goals and to impacting who you want to impact. So when I came to that conclusion and I wanted to do more things that gave me energy because I wanted to live a happier life, I was like, I'm just going to do this podcast daily and talk to anybody. So before, the podcast was inconsistent and focused on people in Austin, Texas. Then I opened it up to everybody worldwide, literally anybody who wanted to come on the show, as long as they were willing to be questioned about their dreams and goals, they could come on. And so now I can have these conversations basically daily. And now I've been consistent with it. And so that's basically why this podcast is a thing. I hated my life and I wanted to love it.
So what's your vision now moving forward?
Vision for the podcast is just to do it and continue to enjoy it. Vision for my life incorporates the podcast, and really it's building a community of people that simply love to help people accomplish their dreams and goals. And how that will come to fruition, it's been a bumpier ride than I thought. Like, I thought people would just kind of leap to that, but not everybody has that heart. And unless they're incentivized either monetarily, really it's only monetarily, or for a very rare amount of people through impact, like they're not really going to care to go out of their way to listen to a guest on the podcast, hear that they need to meet Oprah, know that their aunt calls Oprah, and make that connection. Like, I would love to do that type of thing. I thought there'd be a lot of people. Maybe there are, and I just haven't marketed well enough. Maybe that's a skill that's holding me back. But
Mm.
yeah, that's the vision for the podcast. Create a community around it where people are just kind of like Genius Network. Do you know about Genius Network?
Yeah, Polish's group. Yeah.
I think that's the type of community I envision, but I envision it for a lower caliber person, which is those are
Mm.
in conflict inherently. Because of the reason you said, most people who are in a low caliber in life are not hungry enough to seek success. So they're not going out and doing extraordinary things, making extraordinary connections and impact, where everybody in Genius Network is making extraordinary impact. But I think that's the vision I see for my community with this podcast, is more along Genius Network. And then I really just want to use that community to kind of launch and do a lot of impact. I'm all about connecting people, like that one question I asked, that basically focuses on who, not how. If there was one or two people you can meet, how would they help you? That's kind of the crux of the podcast and the mission, because long term, this thing behind me, Left with Love, Connected by Choice, I really just don't want people to be struggling for shelter, food, or water across the world. And I think we have the resources to do it. And I want to rally some people. Like, there are people in a bunch of different pockets doing it. I kind of want to be the unifier and the systems guy. And then on the micro scale, like, spend my day unifying, all these nonprofits, one mission, one focus, more effective. That's like large scale. Small scale, one-on-one coaching, transforming people's lives that way. And so that's kind of the vision I have for my life and where this podcast is going. So
I love it, man. I love the way you lead. I love the questions you ask. You're clearly someone super impressive, and I think you're the embodiment of the whole spend more time on people who are already great and make them world class versus take average people and make them great. You're definitely someone who's already amazing, and I know you'll be one class world class someday. So awesome, man.
Brenden, I appreciate that.
Awesome, bro.
Awesome. Well, there we go. That's all we have for the show. Brenden, thank you for coming on.
Dude, pleasure was mine.
Of course. And if you guys are listening to this and you loved what Brenden had to say, make sure to go check out his YouTube channel, follow, subscribe, share his content, and yeah, thank you guys for watching. We'll see you on the next one. We're out.